In a person's life, there are moments that mark a before and an after. Some open the path to success, others announce the start of a decline. And what Yaman is living today seems to fit into this second category. It is not a silent downfall, but one that unfolds before everyone's eyes, with millions of witnesses. There was a time when Can was one of the most admired and talked about names, a rising star both in Turkey and abroad. His charisma, talent, and energy had made him a true protagonist. However, that energy has faded, and in its place, we now see a man who seems like a supporting actor in someone else's script, losing control of his own story. Professional setbacks are not unusual. The El Turco project did not achieve the expected success, and Sandokan has faced delays. But what is worrisome is not this, but the way Can experiences these failures as wounds to his pride, spending his energy trying to prove he is right. Instead of seeking solutions, rather than listening to his fans, he attacks them. In response to criticism, he reacts with anger, all under the influence of the woman he calls the love of my life, Sarah. She is not just his partner, but seems to direct everything: his public image, his social media, his style, even his words. Before, Ken conveyed closeness and spontaneity. Now every phrase is defensive. Every post seems like a battle against invisible enemies. And so, in the eyes of his followers, he is no longer the protagonist of his own life. Being a protagonist means leading both on and off screen, writing one's own script, and taking responsibility for the consequences of decisions. But today, Ken seems to act to fulfill someone else's goals. This transformation affects not only his career but also his spirit. The confident, vibrant man has given way to someone irritable, exhausted, and constantly in need of justifying his choices. Fighting with fans is a mistake few artists can afford. They are the foundation that sustains a career, the ones who applaud even in hard times. If you hurt them, the silence they leave is far more painful than any criticism. And the reason Ken stays with Sarah no longer seems to be love, but stubbornness. An ego battle where being right matters more than being happy. If Ken does not react, he risks becoming his own worst enemy. Today he is with Sarah, but tomorrow, what will remain? He could be left with lost projects, a damaged reputation, and an audience that no longer believes in him. To avoid this, he must regain the role of protagonist in his life, take the reins, and stop being a character in someone else's story. Because when a star turns off their own light, all that remains is darkness. When I think of Demet Özdemir, I see a woman who, unlike many in this world of fame and appearances, has managed to stay on course with determination, even when circumstances around her became chaotic. She has gone through difficult moments, constant rumors, media pressure, and situations that could have destroyed her personal peace. And yet, she is still standing, head held high, with that blend of elegance and inner strength that has characterized her since the start of her career. It's not that she hasn't suffered, because I'm sure she has, but she has decided that her pain will not become a spectacle and that her life will not be turned into a showcase of unnecessary drama. While some get lost in complicated relationships or hasty decisions, Demet seems to have chosen another path, that of discipline, constant work, and careful selection of projects. Many may dislike her silence in the face of certain controversies, but I believe that is part of her intelligence, not giving away headlines at the cost of her peace, not letting others control the narrative of her life. This ability to keep her distance, to not respond to every provocation, to not fuel media wars, is exactly what has kept her in a position of respect. I know that for some, her reserve may seem like coldness, but I see it as a sign of maturity. In an environment where everyone seems ready to expose everything for a few seconds of attention, she has learned to say no. And that constant, silent, but firm no has allowed her to preserve something that is quickly lost in this business: credibility. She has not needed to sell her private life to remain relevant. Her career choices, collaborations, and roles all respond to a plan that maybe not everyone understands, but that clearly is not improvised. Of course, She does not live in a perfect bubble. Being a public figure means enduring unfair attacks, gossip, comparisons, and endless speculation. And despite all that, Demet has known how to distinguish between those who speak out of envy and those who do so with admiration or constructive criticism. This clarity allows her to avoid being trapped in the toxicity of the environment. Instead of engaging in revenge or rebuttals, she lets time and facts speak for themselves. And this, though it may seem simple, requires a character that few have. I believe that her inner strength also comes from experiences that made her grow quickly. It's no coincidence that, when others seem stuck, she keeps moving forward, opening doors, and solidifying her name beyond current trends. She has learned that fame without control is a trap, and that real success is not being on everyone's lips, but staying in the industry with dignity and consistency. And in this, Demet gives lessons without needing to give speeches. In times when it is so easy to be dragged into relationships that take more than they give, seeing her protect her environment, friendships, family, and energy is a reminder that not everything is worth it for a little attention. Many of her fans, like me, see in her someone who has chosen not to mortgage her future for present impulses. And although the pressure must be enormous, she continues to manage her life with surprising balance. That is why I believe that Demet Özdemir is not just a talented actress, but also a woman who understands her worth beyond the screen. She has known how to protect what she has built, and that makes her an example both inside and outside the industry. In an environment where it is so easy to get lost, she continues to chart a clear course without letting outside voices decide for her. And if you ask me, I am convinced that this is just the beginning of an even more solid and brilliant stage for her. Because those who know how to take care of themselves and remain true to their principles, sooner or later, not only survive, but triumph.